What is up, Retro Maniacs? Welcome to Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike. I am from Mike's Retro Trading Cards, and I'm joined by two men that panic sold all of their Trevor Lawrence last night for half price at halftime of the game, and then panic bought all their Trevor Lawrence back after the end of the game for double the price. They are Mr. Marvel himself, Joe Day. What's going on up there, Joe?
Earthquake in Pittsburgh? Was there an earthquake in Pittsburgh just now?
Bailey just ran across and dragged my hard wire with her.
Wow, that is fantastic.
She's like, "What's going on?" And my computer's about to fly off the table. Bailey doesn't run over things; she runs through things.
Take the direct route is the fastest way to get there for sure. Oh wow, how's it going, EP?
Pretty good.
Wait, Mike. I have breaking news. Hold on a second. The details are spotty. From Mike's Retro Trading Card News Desk. It's been confirmed. Yes, it's been confirmed. Eric Pahowick, also known as EP, has listed cards to sell on eBay. We're looking for a third source. We're looking for a third source right now. It's such an unbelievable story.
No,
we are looking for a third source, but we can confirm by two sources that he has in fact listed cards on eBay. We're reaching out to EP now for comment. Eric?
It's true. I have listed four cards on eBay for the first time in quite a long time.
The drought has ended.
Yes.
Wow. You know what? I think because of that, I'm even gonna have a beer.
Look at that.
I can't even open it.
EP, drop that eBay name in there. What's that eBay name?
Oh, it's ESPEHO44, is it?
Stop.
You're asking us.
You got to put it somewhere on the screen.
By the way, my son left this in the fridge, so that's why I have it. So, yeah,
James.
All right.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, everybody. Cheers, EP. Congratulations on getting some cards listed.
Thank you.
Anything good?
Just those couple slab cards. Just a couple.
Just a $1,500 Michael Jordan card. I mean, just some stuff like that.
Yeah. PSA 10 Jordan, PSA 10 Brady, PSA 10 Kobe, and then PSA 9 Kobe. Just a couple decent cards.
Yeah.
That's where EP. That's EP.
That's where. Yeah. Those are low end cards for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's why I'm surprised that you're actually selling stuff that cheap.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you watched Short Prints last week. Well, if you didn't watch it, go back and watch it. I'll put it like where how do I don't know, somewhere up there. Yeah, do a thing. Yeah. I'll do a thing up in the corner there. Last week on Short Prints, we talked about unique ways to collect, and one of the ways was somebody was collecting as many cards as he could of a particular card with sentimental value. So the three of us decided we're going to have a competition. We're going to see who can collect the most of an individual card over the next 6 months. The first podcast of August of this year, we will determine the winner. And my card is this beautiful 1987 Topps Terry Poole. Terry Poole, for some random reason, was one of my favorite baseball players when I was a kid. So even though it's an 87 Topps Terry Poole, this does have sentimental value to me. And I'm going to be on the hunt trying to find some of those. Don't know how hard that might be. 87 Topps, that's a long time ago.
Like diving right into the junk wax.
Of course.
I feel he's just going to throw money at this thing as always and win it. By the way,
I play to win.
If you subscribe to our Patreon, I believe you opened that up on the Patreon, that pack that Terry came out of, right?
I did, yes.
We don't
actually
very
happy
Patreon,
but we don't.
Yeah.
But I did open the pack.
You did open the pack in front of us, so we saw you pull that one. So congratulations on the win, Mike. EP and I are fighting for second place here. Mine is going to be one that is kind of sentimental to all of us. I'm going to go with the 1994 SP Bert Emanuel rookie card. That's right, folks.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to search far and wide, high and low. I'm gonna have to go everywhere for these. But yeah, if you have any Bert Emanuel rookie cards, I'm trying to talk Mike into letting us do non-base as well because he does have a die cut. I think I might buy him and just count him anyway. He won't be able to tell. I'll just hold a full one behind it, so it just kind of covers up the die cut.
Who's that guy? Like, was he a baseball player or hockey? What? No.
Moving on.
Oh man, see, I had the player right away. Like I knew what player was going to do right away, but I just didn't know. I'm right now debating in my head which card I'm going to pick. Jamal Anderson's the player. One of my boys from my fantasy team. He's just I don't know if I think I drafted him his rookie year, maybe 96. I thought about his rookie cards. 96 SP rookie. He's got Pacific rookie. Got some.
I have one. I'll sell it to you.
I have one.
Stadium Club Triumvirates.
Yes. See, the thing is,
I have two of those.
I really love the 97 Stadium Club, and I really been thinking about buying a box of it anyway. But I think the card I'm going to pick is 97 Donruss Preferred, Jamal Anderson.
Okay.
I like this. It's a cool card, and there's not a ton of it out there, so I'm probably limiting myself.
Which colored card?
The bronze, like the normal.
The bronze, okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to go. I have no chance of getting any of the.
I didn't know.
Ones.
Get the blue, man.
Get the blue.
Yeah,
right. Get the blue.
Right.
So I don't know if you guys saw this week, but Sports Card Investor had out a video called "The Bottom Is Here." I tried to avoid this topic. I really did, but then all the other content creators started giving their reaction videos to his opinion. And here we are jumping on the bandwagon, but we're going to give our own spin on it like we always do. Yes, but the basic premise of his video is that sports card market, whatever that even is at the bottom. And that means all the cards are going to start going back up. I know, Joe, you have a lot to say about it. Let's let EP talk a little bit about it first.
Good call. Good call.
Your initial thoughts of that.
I mean, I feel like making that claim now, it takes a lot of guts to make a claim like that right now. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but again, I mean, he's putting himself out there. I mean, that's one thing.
Or is he just getting clicks and
getting
his name?
That's kind of what
creators like. Here we are talking about.
That's what influencers do. I mean, so exactly. I mean, and anyhow, I mean, yeah, I guess I have to take his word that he believes it's that they're going up, but I just don't see they're all of a sudden going to bounce back this year and be higher than they were, or be return to. I think they're, based on a lot of the numbers, they're kind of at that pre-pandemic level, and I think they stay there or maybe drop even more. Well,
not according to his data that he cherry picked and picked out certain cards, which some of them weren't even worth what they were worth in the pandemic. Like, he wasn't making the point he thought he was, but still, yeah, he did cherry pick some.
MJ, Kobe, Griffey, Jeter, Mantle, Marino, Elway, Wayne Gretzky, LeBron, Curry, Luka, Trout, Brady. Yeah. Real bold takes on the biggest stars in football, baseball, basketball, hockey. I mean, whew.
And wasn't Jeter lower than he was before the pandemic?
The SP Jeter was lower.
And so was LeBron.
Like, yeah. I feel like he looked off camera to whoever put that together for him and was like, "You are ruining my point. What are you doing?"
Well, one of his reasons this is a quote from him, that so many more people are interested in cards today. So that's my first bone of contention. Yes, I agree with that statement, but the number of people that are in this hobby right now that are paying the kind of money that those high-end cards are going for, right, I would argue is definitely lower. Why would the prices be dropping? Like, if you had more people on the upper end that were looking for these cards that you're using as the index for the entire market, you're picking these higher priced cards. Like, you can't argue the fact that those people aren't around. There aren't as many of those. There are a lot of people that got in and got out. They're like, oh, this isn't going up. I think it's a bad claim to make. Like, you're saying something that's true, but it's not really applying to what you're talking about.
let me consult my 3 pages.
Okay, Joe, I know you have 3 pages of notes, so let's finally let Joe talk a little bit.
Well, I'll let me just respond to a couple of things that have been said so far. So, EP, your comment about putting himself out there, and I know Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics agreed. You know, he's probably going to end up on a sports card radio video, I think was the joke that Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics made by putting himself out there. Did he really though? Like, I wrote this quote down first. Let me find it here. The bottom is here or near. Like, okay, either put a stake in the ground or don't. I mean, and I feel like this video of oh, are we at the bottom? Is the bottom coming? Is this happening? Are the guards going to rebound it? I feel like he does one of these every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and this is the first one that really picked up a lot of traction from the other content creators. To your point, Mike, about him commenting about people, there are more people in the hobby. He said, we need to get rid of pandemic prices from our thinking. Okay. But then he goes on to say there are more people in the hobby now than there ever were. That's because of the pandemic prices. Mm-hmm. People didn't get into the hobby just randomly one day. They saw the prices from the pandemic and were like, I'm getting in on this. I'm going to be one of the people who are digging through my collections and making some money. So if you want to get rid of the pandemic prices, that's fine. But then you also can't just keep everyone that came in because of the thing you're getting rid of.
Yeah, there are a lot of that was one of the things I thought too. You can't just ignore the pandemic pricing because so many people got into it then. A lot of the people that are watching your video right now weren't buying cards before the pandemic. So the prices before the pandemic doesn't matter to them. You have a pretty big percentage of your viewer base watching you that are into a lot of cards at pandemic pricing. So like you can't go back to the non-pandemic pricing and be inclusive because way more people are watching you that probably have the pandemic prices into their cards. And like, what point are you making? Like, you're making them feel stupid for getting back into it at the time, I guess.
And after he says, get rid of pandemic prices from our thinking, he then says, we all know that the many, many collectors and investors that got into sports cards during the pandemic continue to have interest in sports cards. His evidence was social media, local card shops, card shows, people being at card shows, the money that he's investing, by the way, in some of these businesses. He doesn't say that specifically, but he's been investing in card businesses, sales, grading. All of these things are result from those pandemic prices. So if you're going to try and remove them from your mind, then you have to remove the people that are only going to be in it because of the pandemic prices. The three of us got into it, at least Mike and I for sure. EP dabbled a little bit. The three of us kind of got back into it because of those pandemic prices. I don't see us leaving for a while, but I think we're not the rule. I think we're the exception. There are going to be people that stick with it, but not the ones that are buying these cards he's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Again, we talked about this last week too, that there are two different types of collectors. You have those people that are investing and looking at cards like they're a stock. They're not a stock, but as an investment, and losing money and getting out of it because there's no money to be made there on the high end like there was. And then you have the other segment who are happy to buy cards of certain players. We like to collect certain players. We like different sets. You put sets together. We're not the same. And like I said, this group of the true collectors is much bigger than it was pre-pandemic. And I think a lot of us are going to stick around, but that crazy being able to buy a card and then send it into PSA and get 10 times the value for it those days are over. Like,
and those people that did that are going to leave because they can't do it anymore.
Made their money and got out. And that's why the upper end prices are dropping. I don't care what kind of data points you want to look at. This isn't a data-driven thing. This is a hobby. You cannot predict what's going to happen in the future by looking at the data point of a couple cards, what does that show? It shows what that card did. Like, it doesn't show the overall market. It doesn't tell how many people are buying packs of cards or buying boxes. It doesn't say how much money you and I are spending on, a $50 card, $100 card. Like you can't look at a couple cards and extrapolate that like this is some kind of science. It's not. We don't know what's going to happen. I was through a crash before. I saw it all happen right before my eyes. It affected my own livelihood. I was making a living off of doing it. So I don't feel like things are the same now as they were back then. But you don't know what's going to happen next year. We don't know what the future holds for any of this stuff. So yeah, they're not going to go to zero, but there's a chance that this stuff will continue.
The vast majority will go to zero. And I don't want to step on Ziggy's point. We're going to talk about other content creators, but the vast majority of cards will go to zero. The ones he did cherry pick are GOATs. Brady cards have taken a hit. I've seen it. I track Brady cards. I have Brady cards. They have taken a hit. Not as much as other cards have, thankfully. But the vast majority of cards will eventually go to zero. The ones he handpicked, the GOATs, the Hall of Famers, they won't. That's, I think, common sense. EP, before I go on my next rant, do you want to jump in because my best rant is coming up.
Well, I don't have as hot a take on this as you guys do, of course. But like Mike, you were just talking like there are a lot of similarities between the crash in like the 80s and 90s with the overprinting of cars and stuff like that. But so I think things are cyclical. But I don't think things can be cyclical. I just don't think I think where cars continue to go down. And that's it. I don't,
especially the high end. Like, I'm talking about, I think the high end does. I don't see a whole lot of $20 cards being worth 10 now.
Right. And a $1 card is still going to be a $1 card. It's going to be a $1 card. It's going to be a $1 card forever. Like,
so you do have to realize it's a totally different segment of the hobby than most collectors are involved in. So, and at what point do we maybe want to look at the fact and go that maybe these cards being made in mass by all these companies and being graded in mass by all the grading companies of younger players who haven't done anything, maybe they shouldn't be worth $50,000. Maybe they shouldn't be worth $100,000. Maybe that value has been overinflated because of the hype. It has been. That's crazy. These cards are not worth that kind of money. That's why they're going down. The correction is there. They're gonna go down to a more realistic price. And if I was holding a lot of that stuff, I'd be a little worried.
Ultra modern long-term holds is a terrible decision. Like, what's the cutoff? Is it like, I don't know, 2017? Like, at what point did they start just going junk wax style and just start producing this stuff?
2019-ish, maybe 2018.
I think Luca was the example he showed. I think he's 2018 or 2019. But yeah, I mean, if you're buying Joe Burrow, and I love Joey B, I really do. He's one of my favorite players. I would never hold his stuff long term. I'd get something good, I'd flip it, and then buy it in 5 years when the next Joey B comes out, because there's so many options. We've talked about this so many times, the different parallels and the different autos and the different die cuts and all these different things you can get. I would never feel comfortable holding a ultra modern card long term.
Well, and Ziggy did an awesome video, another second video. I think it was the day after he did his reaction video. He just went through all the last 10 years of NFL first round quarterbacks in the NFL, and out of the last 10 years, only one of them is still like super collectible. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, I guess. So there are like two that you can really look at and say, okay, well these are good cards. But the number of quarterbacks that were drafted in all those years, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, ask people about their Carson Wentz collections.
Well, and that's the thing.
Goff, same here,
people that have been in the hobby since the 90s, we can look back through our cards and see all the guys who didn't make it. All the guys
1999. You only have to go there.
That's exactly my point. Like, the sad part about this hobby is that other than very special circumstances, the cards of these players will never be worth as much as when people first think they're taking that step up in play. Like the first hint of somebody becoming a great quarterback, the card shoots up. They have a couple good games. That's really the ceiling
Sell
for most
your
of this
Brock
stuff.
Purdy cards
Exactly.
now.
Like look at Tom Brady. Even his cards go down. None of these guys are going to be Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the only Tom Brady that's been around. Look at Drew Brees. Look at Peyton Manning. Look at Dan Marino. Like their cards comparably to Tom Brady are not worth anything. So why in the world do people think that Justin Herbert and all these guys, like Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, period. He's the best one since Tom Brady. I don't know that he'll come anywhere near Brady's like championships, but that guy is the most talented player and the best quarterback in the league. Yet people don't care about his cards because he's so 2017. Like, give me Brock Purdy. Oh, give me Mac Jones. Give me Tua. Like, it's crazy.
Give me who is
what
the
do you
Patriots backup this year?
Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Bailey's
so
like, stop saying my name.
That they're never going like when you're already at the ceiling just because you are a younger player and you had a good game, you have nowhere else to go but down. Right. And that's what a lot of people don't seem to think. Like, you're going to pay $1 million for a Justin Herbert card. Like, really? Where is he going to go? What's he have to do to make that worth more than $1 million? It's never
win
going
10
to
Super
happen.
Bowls. You need to win 10 Super Bowls.
Even if he did, he might not be worth more than $1 million though, because he'll be old news. There'll be somebody else that'll be drafted that people will be paying $2 million.
And with Brady, the difference is it's not just that he won the 7 Super Bowls. It's the whole story of it. 6th round draft pick, wanted to get drafted by the not, like all these ancillary things. Plus, he's kind of like in the pop culture lexicon now. Like, he's beyond just a football player. My aunt doesn't know who Justin Herbert is, but I'll tell you what, she knows who Tom Brady is.
Oh yeah.
So you have to look at that. Okay, let me go on to my next rant here. This line really just went right through me. Sky is falling, thinking is pervasive. If you were someone who listened to the Sports Card Investor for the last 2 years, the sky is actually falling. If you listen to his advice, his investment advice, the sky is falling. So I'm sorry, that line was just it skeeved me out a little bit because it's like, you've been telling people for the last 2 years, buy at the high. You don't say it like that, but you were telling people for the last 2 years to buy. Worst advice you could have given anyone. And we all bought stuff during the pandemic. Sure, I overpaid for 90MU, just like a million other people probably did. But if you're listening to him on a regular basis and taking your advice from him, how many videos are out there of people saying, I lost tens of thousands of dollars by listening to Sports Card Investor? And then he comes out, I remember us talking about this a few videos ago, saying, oh, I don't actually give investment advice. I'm not an investment advice guy. It's the name of your thing. Like, okay. So then he goes into the pandemic, or Pandy as EP likes to call it, propelled sports cards to a fever pitch of popularity and to heights that and he really emphasized these words, that we now know were not maintainable. I went back. I'm a frugal guy, so I have the same iPhone for the last probably like 5-6 years.
You're not.
I went back to our conversation. I went back to our conversations and typed in bubble burst, like in the search, bubble burst, bubble, and Thanos rookie card, because obviously. And look, we started talking about these prices not being maintainable in February of 2021.
Which was about the peak of the card market.
Yeah. It was. We are 3 schlubs from Danville, Pennsylvania. You're telling me that the guy who bills himself as the Sports Card Investor who on his commercials, his intro to his videos, talks about investing in companies during the day and sports cards at night. You're telling me that he now knows that card prices and popularity are not maintainable? That is, to me, ignorant at best and showing himself as a at worst. I am sorry. If you're going to go out there and tell people to buy cards for 2 years during the height, and then 2 years later say, oh, you can't say the sky is falling because it's pervasive, you're the one who put them in that position. And now you're saying, oh, no, who could have known? Who could have known that the prices were going to crash? Literally everyone. So I'm sorry, Jeff Wilson, the people who love him, is a fraud. He is an absolute fraud. You need to stop listening to him, unsubscribe, and stop putting your money where he tells you to. Throw up the Will Greer thing.
Yeah, that's not our gimmick.
Rant done.
You know, but you talk about us knowing about these prices not being sustainable. The big difference between him and us is we have experience. We've been through this. We've seen it happen before. Like there are a lot, not just us, like there are a lot of people that have. He really hasn't been in this long. He hasn't been through that. So like, you know, he wants to paint this picture because he has a vested interest in the card market now, but it's not something's based on any kind of wisdom that we learned from the past. Like we all in the early 90s when cards were hot never thought that they were going to go down too, or thought that when they started to go down, oh, they'd pick back up. They didn't. And that can happen here too. It's not going to be at that level. I'm not trying to be doomy and gloomy because I do think it's different this time around, but the ridiculous prices that anybody with common sense can look at and go, why in the world is that card selling for $10,000? That stuff is what's going to be a problem and is going to continue to be a problem. It's going to continue to go down because it's just not worth it. And that's going to play out. Sorry, if you go ahead.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to use the F word like Joe did, but I'm just the bottom line is if you're somebody who wants to is going to be giving people this kind of advice, and you're, I think he's an investor, right? Is that his day job?
Supposedly, I guess. Yeah.
Well,
so you would think that
he's such a good investor. He needed a lot of PPP loans and things like that. But
visit Sports Card Radio for that.
I'm getting my Sports Card Radio vibes today. I don't know what it is.
I feel like looking at the historical, like the history of card prices and the card market should have been part of his decision getting into it in the first place. And when he's making when you're making claims about what things, like that should be something that somebody who is smart about things would look into, right?
There are a lot of people involved in cards today that have no idea about the history of cards. They have no idea what happened in the 90s.
Gary V. That's Jeff Wilson wants to be another Gary V, and all the content creators who fawn to Jeff Wilson, they want to be a poor man's Jeff Wilson. I mean, it's just like everyone's like, how can I get popular? How can I be cool? How can I, call myself an investor? It's just it's kind of ridiculous. And then you have these people who, I don't want to call them dumb, but they're just led around too easily. And they watch his videos and say, oh, this guy has really good production value. He must know what he's talking about. So I'm going to put my money into what he tells me to. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, he's going to say, oh, stop saying the sky's falling. Oh, I'm sorry. You just cost me my savings account.
He's selling the sizzle and not the steak.
Right.
Yeah.
Do not look behind the curtain, though. I mean, you don't want to pull back the curtain at all.
Well, one way to get views and get likes is to make response videos to his video. Like, I don't know who would waste their time doing that, but yeah,
ours is going to be the longest one. Ours is,
but yeah, there were a few of them. Sports Card Dad had one. Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics had one, and our good buddy ZiggyNo had one as well. I watched all three of them. They were kind of all different. Sports Cards Dad really wasn't as much of a reaction video. Like, he said a lot of the same things we are. Like, the flipping market, the easy money is out of it, and he sees stuff continuing to drop a little bit through next year as well. I know Neo made a very good point in that nobody knows. Like, we don't know. This isn't science. We don't know where the card sales are going to be for the next year. And Ziggy, he had the best response video out of any of them because he just told it like it was. Cards are going to go down, and I agreed with pretty much everything he said in his videos. I'll put links to all these videos in the comments in the description below so everybody can watch them if they want. But yeah, Joe, your thoughts on the response videos?
Sports Card Dad said something really, really interesting that I think all three of us will totally agree with, is that the dollar cards, the $5 cards, the $10 cards, they're not, I mean, people are still going to want those.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are still going to go out and buy those. They're low impact kind of cards, which for a collector, if that's the card we're talking about, I'm talking about collecting Bert Emanuel cards for a contest. I mean, those type of cards are going to stick around.
They're cool.
There you go. Those type of cards are going to stick around, and they're going to be long lasting, and people are always going to be interested in those. What Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics said, I agree with too. There is no crystal ball. He did say that Jeff's really putting himself out there by giving a number, and Jeff did give a number that he thinks cards will be 40 to 100% above March of 2020 prices. And then he references the CPI being over 15%. And he does put some work into that. I will say, I really don't think he put himself out there, because he did give himself a backstop. Like, I could be wrong. They might be near the bottom. So I kind of disagreed with Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics on that. Ziggy's, though, was the best video. He went on to say cards all eventually do go to zero, with exceptions. And that's true. A card, really, a Justin Herbert rookie card from a couple years ago, is like pulling a brand new car out of the dealership. I mean, as soon as you pull it out of the dealership, it's going to lose value. And year after year after year, it's going to lose value. That's the same thing that's going to happen to some of these high-end, ultra-modern cards. Though Ziggy did make a comment about everyone's excited about Topps football coming back. Ziggy, back off, pal. I love my Topps Chrome football. Do not make me sad about it. Do not make me
I thought about you right away when he said that, too.
Dude, I'm gonna buy it, not because of the 38 different parallels. That nostalgia is worth it. I don't care. But yeah, I mean, if you watch any other video besides us, definitely go watch Ziggy's response to that, because it was very, very good.
And EP, you spent the morning watching all the videos.
I did. I watched all of them. And I agree with all those. But I watched the one video that Ziggy referenced, the Sports Cards Anonymous video. Mm-hmm. Make sure to link to that one down below as well. That one's like an hour long. It was two guys talking. I was Dakota, and I can't remember who. It was a guy that I haven't seen partner up with him before, but he did a bunch of put up a bunch of stats and stuff too. And that was the one that Ziggy was referring to with the Topps Chrome thing, because they were talking about, I think it was Topps Chrome Black, Roman Chrome Black, something like that. But anyhow, it was and they're talking about Chrome parallels and that sort of stuff. And I thought their video was very good. It was another take, is very similar to everything else, where everybody's kind of like saying the cards are probably they're going to go down probably. So
as an aside to you baseball pack openers, the two of you, does Topps Chrome baseball have anywhere near the parallels that like Panini football has? Oh,
they're really getting close. Okay. They're getting close now. Yeah,
they have animal skins, because at that point maybe I won't buy.
No, I don't.
They have a bunch of different kinds of camo, and they have the base. The paper ones have like the snow cards, and where you have like a candy cane. So they have a lot of different kinds of parallels.
They have added a lot, of course. Mm-hmm. The reason they add a lot is because they produce a lot more of it, and they're adding more parallels to try to hide the fact that they're producing more cards. Game. Like, that's absolutely what they're doing. But yeah,
let me make one more comment about Jeff's video, Mike. After about 8 minutes, you realize it turned into an infomercial for Market Movers, right? Everyone caught that? Did everyone
8 minutes catch? I thought it was less than that.
Oh no, it was 8 minutes, almost exactly. Okay. Believe me.
Right. Joe has notes.
I have notes. As soon as he put up the Market Movers graph, which the information was interesting. I will say that as soon as you put up the market movers graph and then you look over to where his face is and they have the free trial code. And then the last 2 minutes of it was just an unabashed commercial for market movers. It was, hey, do you want to see how your cards are now worth nothing because I gave you crappy advice? Join market movers. Like he infected you with the disease and now he's trying to sell you the anecdote. And that's kind of what it felt like to me. It was just, I'm sorry, it was a total like wake up at 3 a.m. and kind of a haze, and you turn on a local channel and they're trying to sell you a pot that nothing sticks to it, or a knife that can cut through pans. That's what it felt like. It was a market movers infomercial after about 8 minutes.
Do either of you subscribe to any of those kinds of services? Like, I don't have a lot of high-end stuff, so it's not my game, but do you guys subscribe to any of those?
I have done Card Ladder, like just here and there. Like I turn off the auto renewal, I pay by a month and might use it for a month and then turn it off for six months. And then
that's the one I would probably use.
Yeah. I mean, they are what they are. Like, I don't know. It's the reason I did it was because we did some videos like that we're going over like the football card market, and I was just using it to find easy pricing data for that. But I would never look at it and think, oh, well, this is what a card's worth because this program is showing me the data. Like a card is always going to be worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. Just because somebody paid one amount for it last time doesn't mean they're not willing to pay more or they aren't going to pay as much next time. So,
and we talk about this all the time when we're listing stuff on eBay. It's like certain things can skew a price. Like someone could just need money and they could list $1,000 card for $500 because they need a quick $500. That card's worth more than $500, but they want to sell it quickly. So they list it. It's the whole buy it now versus auction. There's so many different factors that really these tools, maybe they give you a snapshot, but you can't depend on them for long-term investment advice.
Yeah. And Ziggy made this point too. Like there's no confirmation that any of this data is legitimate either. Like, like there's no checks and balances. There's no regulation of this stuff. So, you really have to, you take everything with a grain of salt. Like you can look up eBay auctions. I've been doing that since the late 90s when I started using eBay. Like that is my go-to. Yeah, if I want to know if something's worth anything, cards or not, I go there. So I feel like these programs that they put out, they appeal to a certain kind of person who's into the hobby for a certain reason, but that ain't us.
By the way, which one of you here is getting secured loans to buy sports cards? Is it EP?
Me.
Yeah.
Is it you? Okay.
I got $5 million from my bank this week.
Jeff Wilson said that just almost like a throwaway line, and I'm like, could I get more detail on people getting secured loans?
I know.
Sports cards to buy more sports cards.
Didn't it make you kind of think of the housing collapse, like in 2008? Like I was like, so instead of borrowing against their house, they're borrowing against the value of their cards that are going. Like,
that's how banks collapse.
Yeah. It is like that is not a sound finance. I'm not here to give financial advice, but don't do that.
Don't do that.
None of our viewers would ever consider thinking of doing that. But
they're not sheep and guppies, are they? Right? They're not.
If they're still watching by this point, because we've been talking about Sports Card Investor for like a half an hour now. But so let's move it on along a little bit here. I have one more thing I want to get to this week. Don't know if you guys saw it, but are you familiar with card porn? It's a bigger Instagram. I think they
card
have Twitter
porn
too.
EP.
Card porn
card
EP.
Porn.
Don't get too excited. It's just an Instagram account. They pretty much held like the shenanigans in the hobby, like the report on it. Used to do a lot more so than they do now. There's sales, the rumors that it was sold. I don't know. They have a different tone nowadays, but whoever the owner of that account is being sued by Alan and Steven Spiegel, who are the owners of a 2003-2004 LeBron exquisite jersey autograph, numbered out of 99. He was apparently going to auction it off on Golden, but card porn was making accusations that the card was not real. apparently, if you go back in time, you can actually see that the card originally had a plain white patch on it, and now it has a different patch. I guess the brothers that are suing them originally had a letter from Upper Deck saying that, oh, yeah, that card was returned for damage, and then we sent them a replacement out. I guess then Upper Deck retracted that letter because Card Porn was able to show they superimposed the autograph of the card with the new patch over the one with the old, and the autograph was literally the same exact, like everything, it matched up perfectly. Like pretty random that would be able to happen on its own.
It can't.
So
it absolutely cannot.
Yeah, it can't. So Golden pulled the auction, and the brothers were very upset, and they filed a lawsuit. They're trying to find the owner of Card Porn, which apparently isn't that, people know who it is, but apparently they can't find the owner somehow. So their lawyers must not be doing, I don't know what they're doing, but they can't find the owner. But one of the things in the lawsuit was they're claiming racketeering on behalf of Card Porn, that they're creating a virtual racketeering network by putting this information out there and basically bullying people to believe what it is they want to believe because they have a big following. First of all, your comments on the actual lawsuit.
My first comment is going to be Upper Deck. Upper Deck, Exquisite is a very expensive product. This card is numbered out of 99. What the hell is a white patch doing in there?
I know, right?
I mean, that
the second patch was awesome.
Me. Right,
the second patch was
awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess the theory is they took the white patch out, went to Walmart, got a Cavaliers jersey, cut a piece of jersey, and put what probably should have been the patch, the look of the patch, in it anyway. So that kind of was shocking. I want to know who from Upper Deck wrote that letter. Like, I need some more information on that, because if they're saying they destroyed it and, they tried to match up the autograph, I mean, sure, there's a 99.99% chance that is the same exact card, because there's no way you can put the autograph in the perfect spot. But we don't know if that information was manipulated. You really don't know. Like, we don't know who Card Porn is. We don't know if they're playing around with, adjusting things or moving things around. I mean, so I get the lawsuit. I get the point of it. This was supposed to go for over $1 million. So you don't know what these guys have.
That's Golden estimate. They always estimate a little.
Wasn't
bit
it up
higher.
to like 600,000 though? I mean, it was going to go for at least 600,000. Let's just say it just stopped.
It was a lot of money, regardless.
It was a lot of money. So I mean, you've got these two guys who maybe they weren't the culprits. I mean, they might have been the ones who first noticed that the patch was different and asked Upper Deck for this information. So they're out a lot of money, because I'm sure that cost them a lot of money to get. So,
I'm sure they had no idea. Like,
right.
They're completely innocent in the patch swap out of this.
Right. So my question is, why are you suing Card Porn, and why are you not suing Beckett? Like, Beckett's the one who slabbed this, right? If Beckett says this is authentic, Beckett's saying the patch must be real. They're guaranteeing the card. Why are you going after Card Porn, who is just ostensibly, they're just taking information and piecing it together for us, right? If we believe that to be true. Why are you not going after the company that slapped it? Or why are you not going after the company that sent you a letter and said, oh yeah, we destroyed this card. This is the replacement card. So here you go. Like, Card Porn seems like the last person, because you don't know how deep their pockets are, unless, Jeff Bezos is randomly running Card Porn. I mean, why don't you go after people with actual deep pockets, like Beckett, like Upper Deck, and say, well, what's the deal here?
I think their whole point in this is that it isn't a fake card. I think they believe that it's real, and they believe that Card Porn, manipulated Golden into thinking that it wasn't real by the information they were given. So I guess that would explain your question, why they're going after Card Porn, because they feel like the card is real. So
100%, nothing was swapped out. This was a replacement from Upper Deck. Yeah, I mean, in that case, then it makes sense. It's so random to me that you would have this card and you couldn't tell if it's I don't know. I'm glad I'm not a lawyer. Especially with these card lawsuits that we've been talking about lawsuits on this podcast how many times now, and we always say these lawyers and judges, I don't think they know enough about cards to give an accurate ruling.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is going to be interesting to see how this falls out.
Yeah, Joe, you and me, we both watched Dan the Cardman's video on this.
Yeah.
And again, like we were talking about the card, but like to have the centering matchup and the auto matchup, and there's like a chipping on the left-hand side and a black box, and have that all match up. Again, we don't know if anything was manipulated as far as when they were doing the overlays and everything, but like it looks like it probably is the exact same card. And if you look at the patch, it looks like the patches was more sunk back in the original one, and it seems like it's farther out in the newer one.
Didn't it almost look to you like there wasn't anything in there when I saw the video? Like it almost looked like there wasn't even a patch in there.
Yeah, it's like
sunk in.
Yeah, it was really really thin and so sunk in. The next one is like it's almost like sticking out of the front of the thing. So I mean, it looks like potentially somebody that again and Dan the Cardman and you, Joe, both said we don't know for sure if the brothers that have the card, if they were the ones that did it. You know, we don't know the long history of this card. But one of the things that I thought Dan the Cardman, the real important thing that one of the things that he really said was, you can find out that who owns like the card porn.
Yeah,
pretty easily. The card porn account pretty easily. If you actually wanted to file a cease and desist, which is the reason why they're saying like they want to do this, like if you want to do that, you can do that just by going and finding the person's name. So like he feels like the lawsuit maybe is just kind of like this. Something to
it's a fishing expedition a little bit.
Yeah. So it's not really. He doesn't really think they're really going to sue card porn. Like he doesn't think it's really
I mean, we see all the time like sports card radio with all the threats of lawsuits, but we don't actually see the lawsuits being filed.
Right.
So a lot of times this is just sending out letters to try to, bully and scare people into shutting up about something. So that could very well be the case here. Though if it does go to trial, if this lawsuit's actually served and stuff, like I do think the overarching, part of this is like really big for people like us that are doing content creation, especially when Joe's calling certain people on our podcast. But like
it's not my name on the YouTube channel.
But it is kind of like people are giving information out on social media and content creators are doing videos about stuff. And, if there was ever a lawsuit that somebody won for, claiming that kind of stuff is considered racketeering, like that would pretty much just destroy all of this, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, that's yeah.
The social media is still a relatively new thing, and like you don't see like there's a lot of precedents that need to be set in for all social media and YouTube,
EP,
Twitter.
Is there
everything.
like a First Amendment argument to be made? Like card porn can put this stuff out there because he or she has a First Amendment right to do so.
They can put it out there, but it doesn't mean there aren't going to be legal ramifications depending on what what happens and how it affects somebody. But I mean, they have the right to put it out there. I believe.
I feel like you're part of the newspaper business. I feel like this is similar to a newspaper. Like I feel like card porn or a YouTube content creator, it's kind of the same thing. If you have evidence of something and you've checked your sources on it and you're giving information about something, that's pretty much what you guys do at the paper. Like you're not just like some people just randomly say stuff, and you just shouldn't throw accusations out there if you don't have any basis in fact for it. But like watching sports card radio, they have reasons why they say the stuff they do. I'm sure card porn, like I guess there's been a thread on Blowout Card Forum for quite a while about this card and the changing patch. So like this isn't something that card porn is just making up and throwing out there. This is stuff that has been in the industry, has been talked about, and I kind of feel like it's similar to writing a newspaper article about it.
And EP, isn't the line people use, truth is the ultimate defense to slander, truth is the ultimate defense to libel? I mean, if they're showing evidence and that evidence was not manipulated. I mean, unless they were going out saying the Spiegels they did this with malice aforethought and they're terrible people and this and that. But if they're just showing this information, is that legal action?
It is. To me, it's a little sticky because money is changing hands, or money was about to change hands, and so that it is affecting a transaction. But I know that when we're doing stories, we have stories that are like, we want a story to be a story like this, where it could affect somebody's livelihood, somebody's, an entire business, an industry or something like that. Like, the story needs to be bulletproof. Like you said, we need to have that evidence. We need to have multiple sources confirming it on the record. We don't do sources confidential. Like we don't let anybody say, oh, I don't use my name. We can't do that story then. Like, so, I mean, when you're talking about something like this, you really have to have everything nailed down and prove it. And like, it seems like, especially with that blowout cards form and everything, like seems like there's a lot of evidence kind of piled up, which is, again, kind of backs up the Dan the Card Man thought that this is probably not really actually ever going to be a lawsuit, just because it seems like there's already a lot. You
can't cease and desist someone who you don't know who they are, apparently, is what Dan the Card Man said. Like, it's very difficult to serve someone when you can't actually serve a person. It's going to be interesting to me. Like, let's just say we're the Spiegels, right? And we have this card, right? And Golden pulls it down and says, we have thoughts that maybe this is not legitimate, right? What if we put it on eBay? eBay has an authentication program, right? Has a guarantee. Let's say we put it on eBay and sells for, $600,000. Okay. It goes to Beckett. It goes to PSA. What's PSA do? Because they have to authenticate it, right? I mean, I'm curious on how that whole transaction, obviously this card will never hit eBay and this and that, but it's just kind of like, where we've talked about this so many times on the podcast, where does that guarantee begin? Where does it end? What's authentication really mean? And this would be a great example of that, a very high-end example of that. But I'm very curious on again, getting back to what we've said over and over again, what that card in that slab, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
Other than just someone's opinion on a number, it also has to carry some sort of weight in terms of authenticity, in some sort of guarantee of what's in that piece of plastic.
And nothing has been established by the courts in terms of that. So we're all kind of out here in the Wild West still after all these years. But I think that's a pretty good place to leave that there. It'll be fun to watch that, to see what comes out of that. But I don't know. People are still watching. I appreciate you sticking by for all our talk about sports card investor.
We are three fat guys from Danville. Please don't sue us.
Exactly. Well, I'm not worried about getting sued. How about you, EP?
No.
My name's not on the channel. This is not Joe Day's retro trading cards, baby.
It might be next week. I can change those graphics. All right, guys. That was a good chat. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Adios.
See you, boys.